and welcome to Riptide presents Dungeons and Dragon Ranas. Oh, very clever, because we're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I'm aware a lot of listeners will know what Dungeons and Dragons is, but here's a quick explanation for you. Dungeons and Dragons is essentially a role-playing game done live in person at a table where someone called a Dungeon Master has written up a storyline, and they're kind of like a film director. They've created an action scenario. All the players have created characters, if you imagine them as wrestlers perhaps, where you have a persona, a look, a certain skill set, and you get dropped into the story. And then you have to try and reach the end of the quest, whatever the Dungeon Master has set out. It could be retrieving gold, it could be killing a monster, it could be just getting through a maze of horrors, who knows. Now we are adapting this very slightly for Riptide Wrestling, where we've deliberately gone for a slightly more action-packed game. It's all going to be done in one single session, which is going to last a couple of hours. That's a real rough entrance into Dungeons and Dragons. We're just going to go around the table and I'm just going to introduce who's playing and what we're playing as. I'll go first just to set the scene. As I said, this is a slightly modified game, so I've got a class which normally wouldn't feature. Normally with class you could be like a fighter or a wizard, things like that. Mine is a special homebrew version. I'm a pugilist, which means basically I'm somewhere between a street fighter, a boxer and a wrestler. Isn't it funny that I've picked this as my class type? And I have a special subclass called Piss and Vinegar, which basically means I'm a heel. So a lot of my moves are going to be based on very what you do behind the ref's back, like a little bit of testicular torsion, poke in the eye, that kind of stuff. But just to explain, my character is called Baldur's Brawler. I am a half-orc, and my actual character, his background is he was abandoned in Baldur's Gate. He grew up in the underworld, having to steal to survive, so he's got a little background in thievery. But he basically made his living with exhibition fights in pubs. So he'd go in, being a heel, he'd challenge people to a fight, make sure they put money on it, and then knock them out. He did grow up with a pet bat called Thumper. However, poor old Shemp, he had to leave Baldur's Gate because a fight went against him. He was drugged, he lost all his money, lost his reputation, and when he woke up, his pet Thumper was dead. Final insult by the person who cheated him.
Holy shit.
He'd snapped his little bat's neck. So, Shemp did what any normal orc would do. He went away, found a taxidermist who managed to stitch the corpse of the bat around a little steel pole, wrap it in barbed wire, and now he has a barbed wire bat. That's his weapon. I look forward to using the barbed wire bat. Also playing...
You are a terrible human being.
The person accusing me of being a terrible human being is Jen, who will also be playing.
I am reprising an older character of mine called Thornton Heath. He's a warlock half-elf. He has a checkered past. He is evil, but he's in recovery, so it's okay. You're all safe for now. Few relapses, you know. He still has a little evil patron on his shoulder trying to maybe tempt him to the dark side, but he's working his steps. It's all good. He has a familiar called Battersea, which is a little toad with little bat wings. Then he can fly. I mean, he also is evil, but they have a bond. So Thornton's just trying to walk the straight and narrow, and I guess he's with this group now, just trying to make friends and get support.
When you're in the wrong crowd with me.
I know. I know. It's not. I'm not saying he doesn't enjoy killing. He's just trying not to do it so much.
And our final player is
Prometheus.
Well, hang on. Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
He lives the character.
Joining us is Josh.
Oh, sorry. My name is Josh. I promote Riptide, and I will be playing as a slightly delusional, self-important ranger who hangs back whilst everyone gets stuck in.
Great.
And I try and take as much credit for the people on the front line as I possibly can. Right. I make lots of sacrifices that nobody asked me to make, and expect more credit than I'm due, basically. And very strong sense of self-importance.
And you are Prometheus.
Prometheus, yeah.
Very nice. And you have a familiar.
He's a bear. He's called Bear. And
it's good. Stops you getting too attached.
Well, I'm very attached to Bear. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
I would say Battersea is both jealous and condescending towards your bear.
Like, Bear's used to it.
Well, I'm assuming he's the one who normally gets stuck in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, is your
Absolutely.
bear fighty? He can fight?
He's a bit fighty.
Oh, wicked. Yeah, cool.
He's relatively fighty.
Yeah. He's a bit fighty. So he'll go in. He'll do really well in battle, and I will sort of look to the people around me, and talk about how well he's doing out on this battlefield.
Well, with my background, I have a little bit of a drinking problem and gambling problem, so maybe we'll take bets on who gets more kills, me or the bear.
We'll see. We'll see.
And of course, the DM, the dungeon master, the man behind it all, is Tommy.
Hello.
You've done our regular sessions before, so you're an old hand at this.
Yep.
And do you want to set the scene? You wrote a little introduction for where we are. And
Absolutely, yes. So, here we are. So after many grueling months of relentless dungeoneering, adventuring and glory hunting, you've decided to indulge in some well-deserved rest and recreation. There is a travelling fairground called Dr. Thillylid's House of Uncertainty, and it's just made camp on the outskirts of Waterdeep. It offers all the thrills, spills and chills a rugged, hardy group of adventurers such as yourselves could ask for. How convenient. Going there, the varied attractions of the circus are acceptable. You've seen better, you've seen worse. It's small, it's squalid, but everyone seems to be having a good time. The eponymous Dr. Thillylid, a large gangly clown, has been doing his best to entertain the circus goers with balloon animals, cheap parlour tricks and bad puns. You decide to visit one final attraction, one that's looked actually quite promising all day, the Hall of Mirrors. Yeah, you shouldn't have saved this one until last. Low effort doesn't even begin to describe this place. There's no fancy illusion magic, there's just some lazily crafted mirrors that barely even warp your reflections. You're all considering calling it a day and heading into the city for a pint when the familiar smells of straw, dung and candy floss are overwhelmed by those of rotting leaves and hot metal. Dissonant, howling laughter emanates from outside the tent. It comes from afar. All of a sudden, the small part of the maze that you're in has become twisted and shifted. It's now twisted into a single long corridor about 15 foot wide, and instead of being flat, it stretches up to the right and down to the left. The faint organ music that you've been hearing from outside the tent has just been replaced by the sound of someone or something just repeatedly boom, slamming their head boom, onto the organ keys. And at this point, the mirror closest to you starts rippling. 3 pairs of hands emerge, followed by a lank, skinny body, atop of which is perched essentially just a head full of fangs. The first thing you notice is the garishly applied clown makeup. The rest of it comes out. It has a pair of spindly legs at the back, and as it stares at you balefully, it jumps up, clings to the wall like a spider, and at this point I'd like everyone to roll initiative.
Jesus Christ.
That's an excellent setup. I've got to add 2 things just before we begin. Number 1 is our arsehole neighbours have decided to do DIY today, so you might hear the odd drilling or banging.
That's circus drilling.
Yes.
It's fine.
The other thing affects no one but me, but I've spent money on this, so god damn it, it's going on the recording. I have bought brand new dice for this. Not just regular dice. I have bought a set of metal dice. And I bought them in pink and black, Bret Hart style.
Woo! Yes.
Pink and black attack is back. I rolled a 12 and I don't add anything to it.
Cool. And what was your character's name?
Baldur's Brawler. BB.
I'll just call you BB. That's, yeah.
I am also 12.
So 14, so 17 in total for you. But Prometheus? I've got you down as promo here. Well, the bad news for all of you is that this thing goes first.
Fuck.
And it is going to launch itself at the Baldur's Brawler in a flurry of claws.
Take out the strongest first, I like it.
So, I'm assuming your armour class isn't 26.
No.
Okay, well that's going to hit. So it attempts to gouge, like a bit of a tunnel through your face. You take 11 slashing damage as its claws rake your face, and they rake your mind somewhat as well, and that's going to be an additional 4 psychic damage, as you almost feel it going across your brain.
I don't have a brain. I'm a professional fighter.
Oh yeah, it's going to try and go for another attack, probably on Prometheus, because you guys are all you were standing fairly close to each other, so it's kind of just got free reign at the moment. However, that's only
Not the face.
13, so you just its claw whistles past your face and it kind of screeches in unbridled rage. The second attack, however, is a 20, and that's going to hit you. Overall, you take 8 points of damage. So, Prometheus, it's your go. At the moment, it's right in front of you, so a bow attack, you'd struggle. However, it is within, say, sword, dagger, or spell range, or you could choose to try and move away from it. Up to you, really. Like, what sort of thing are you thinking?
I think that this thing's needs locking down a little bit, so I'm going to cast Ensnaring Strike.
Cool. So yeah, what you'll want to do is you'll want to try and hit it with a weapon attack, and if it hits, then a bunch of thorny vines will sort of hold it in place.
Cool.
So 19. Yeah.
That is a hit. You saw it start to move out of the way, and you just angled your blade just right to catch it where it was going to be, and these vines just sprout out of the tip of your blade and try to ensnare it.
Excellent.
So the vines start to move rapidly, like intertwine amongst its 6 arms and sort of try and bind some of them together. It's just right in your face. For now, it's restrained. It can't really move, and it's both the turns of Thornton and the Boulders Brawler. One of you can choose to go first, or you can roll against each other and see who goes
Let's
first.
roll. Exciting.
5.
7.
The Boulders Brawler goes first.
Yes. I was going to do something kind of cool, but I don't need to because the Prometheus here has already done it for me. So,
Save it, Big Papa.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll keep it real simple then. I'm going to walk in and I'm just going to club it around the head a couple of times. I've got Knuckle Duster on each hand.
Yep.
I attack twice as with my character class. Okay. That's a 1. Damn you, expensive dice. Natural 20!
Yay!
That's 11 damage, Tommy.
That is 11 damage. Nice one. Yeah, there's a nice satisfying crunching sound as one of its many spiny teeth goes flying out and it goes back into the mirror as it kind of gets swallowed up. 11.
Some pus.
That was Ica. It's still looking very angry. It's looking a little bruised. Thornton, it's your turn. You can tell that it's not at peak attacking prowess at the moment.
Oh yeah, well I'm cowering against a wall. I'm not within grabbing distance.
No.
Come on. And it turns out that Clown's kind of freaked me out a little bit.
You are not going to like this session.
I'm going to go with a comfort spell, Agonizing Blast.
Ah, good old Agonizing Blast. This is a warlock's bread and butter.
That's a 14.
That hits.
Oh, thank God. Yes, so I've got 2 beams.
Yep.
1d10 plus charisma each.
Yes.
Yeah. That's 11.
Like this beam of eldritch energy emanates. Yeah. So yeah, a couple of agonised screams from this thing. Yeah. As it's still desperately trying to move, but you can see the thorns in the vines are actually digging into its skin a bit, and it's just the embodiment of impotent rage at the moment. So at this point, the mirror behind you guys is going to start rippling.
God damn.
And another 3 pairs of arms and a pair of legs comes out, and then just jumps into the nearest dark patch, because you've noticed the light has grown a lot dimmer now from what it was.
Dark vision.
You can see it.
I also have dark vision as an orc.
Oh,
you guys can see it. You're a human, I believe, so
That's
you
quite right.
can't see it.
Oh.
Where'd it go, guys?
It's over there! I point out to him.
And it's at the moment almost a bit Trainspotting-esque, just sort of on the ceiling, head cracked round, just staring at you. And now the first creature is going to try and break free. So first it's going to take some damage from all these thorns. It fails miserably trying to extricate itself, so it can't really do much. So, Prometheus, your go.
Well, given that bear stuff is that's not bonus.
We didn't do a thing for your bear, no. Whenever the next fight is, we'll roll initiative for him. Let's give Bear a quick go, and then you can decide what you want to do for
Cool.
Prometheus.
I am going to give Bear the nod to sneak round the back of the ensnared ghoulie to chomp on its backside. Eat its ass, if you will.
Bear gives you a raised eyebrow, but then kind of little shrug and just kind of slowly, like ponderously moves round and then lunges for it.
So 17.
17 is a hit, yes. So he'll do a modest 1d6, so the normal die for that one. 5, excellent, yeah. The entangled creature looks somewhat surprised. There's a bit of a as Bear's teeth just sink into his backside.
Nice.
And yeah, it's not looking too healthy at the moment. Not that it really looked healthy before with the gangliness and the clown makeup, but it's definitely not in the best shape. So, Prometheus, now it's your go.
Well, as is my want, I'm going to do my best to take all the credit for what was a team effort by seeing if I can land the killing blow
Cool.
on this thing in the flashiest way possible. So I'm going to look to put a arrow right between its eyes.
Cool.
Behind my head.
As you move away from it, it is going to be able to. There are things called attacks of opportunity, where if you're face to face with someone and you move away, they're allowed a little swing at you. However, this guy's got disadvantage. He does actually manage to take a small chunk out of you as you move away. That's going to be 4 points of slashing damage.
Mm-hmm.
You were slightly distracted. You were thinking of the cool trick you were going to do. You were stowing your sword and readying your bow, and as you were backing off, you'd kind of forgotten that this thing was still struggling to break free. But now you can act. So yes, you can make me that attack roll.
15, so it's 24.
Yeah, that is a hit. That's going to be 1d8. So that's going to be the diamond-shaped one. And you're going to add 4 to the total.
So it's 8 in total.
You're not quite sure what is eye and what is clown makeup, but the screech this thing just made, you're fairly sure you've got a vital organ there. You quietly think to yourself, that wasn't the killing blow, but it doesn't have long for this world. So, Baldur's Brawler.
I look to Prometheus and go, "You call that a killing blow, you mug?" And then, because I am behind this thing,
Yes.
I would like to use my barbed wire back attack to... this is just for flavour, it won't actually affect it. I want to imagine like I've pried his jaws open and I'm trying to ram it down his throat.
If you get a crit, then this will be a very hilarious killing blow.
Well, I didn't get a crit, but...
Did you hit?
I did.
Okay, that's good. Roll some damage.
It's 9 damage.
So, yeah, as you pull this thing's head back and ram your barbed wire bat down its throat, it struggles like a bit more intensely, and then you just give it this twist, and all 6 of its limbs just go limp, and it crumples, and the vines start to kind of slough off of it, and then from the dark corner of the corridor you just hear another sibilant sort of like sound, as you two can see this second thing just eyeing you up cautiously.
I'm going to stare up at it and go, "Come on, you slag!"
Thornton, it's your go.
Alright, let's see. I'm gonna go for another agonizing blast at it.
Cool.
12?
As your beam hits the wall, all of a sudden it just flitters onto the opposite wall in the blink of an eye.
Okay. Alright, I'll give it another go.
So you re-angle it.
13?
No.
Fuck! Sorry. I got distracted by clowns.
The good news is it's now going to launch itself at you.
Fuck!
In a flurry of limbs.
I'm squishy.
The first hit is a 17 against your armor class. I'm guessing that's a hit.
Yeah, that is such a hit.
That's 2 hits, okay.
Fuck.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck.
Love that noise from the DM.
That's pretty bad. That's 22 slashing damage as it really savages you.
That is some kind of bullshit right there, yo.
The good news is that the kind of psychic ringing in the skull that the Baldur's Brawler got doesn't appear to have happened to you. It's just gone full rip and tear on you.
Okay.
So the first thing's dead. The second one has landed, and it's just like absolutely savage Thornton, and is now sort of like towering over them. Thankfully, it is now Bear's go.
I'm going to give Bear another wink and hope that he is able to bury his snout in the front of this one's
The old groin attack.
In fact, I would also like to take this opportunity to say to Thornton that things didn't go great, obviously, but that I feel like Thornton's order in the attacks was always put at a disadvantage.
Thank you. That's very kind.
And that it was a very tough spot.
My eyeballs dripping down my face, but I'm appreciative.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah,
As I wipe away the
Bear just kind of like
vitreous.
huffs a little bit and like lumbers towards this thing.
Get that crotch. Oh, 5. Nasty.
So 12 in total.
12, yeah.
Unfortunately not. No, this thing's spindly little leg just manages to kick out and just kind of keep Bear at bay.
Not Bear.
Bear's getting progressively more angry at this point.
I can imagine.
However, Prometheus, it is your go now. You've sent in your bear as a distraction. This thing's probably a good 10 feet or so away from you, so, nothing to really worry about for you.
In that case, I'm just going to do a standard longbow attack.
Cool.
Cool, so that is 23 in total.
That's a hit.
Oh, great. So that is 12.
Nice. Boulder's Brawler, you're up.
Okay.
And it's sort of almost towering over you. And it's on 2 legs, but it has 6 arms sprouting out of it, almost reaching around, almost like it's going to try and impale Thornton next, in all 6 of them.
Well, I like where Prometheus was going with the crotch. So I'm going to, for my first attack, I want to run over and with my little barbed wire bat, right up the testicles.
Excellent.
That's from behind, I presume, if it's facing...
Oh yeah,
So more
let's
like
go with that.
Yeah. Get some butt action.
Archetypal
The gooch.
low blow.
Yes. Yeah. Low blow is actually one of my special attacks. It's slightly different.
But you're going to save
So,
those, presumably,
yeah.
for when you really need them.
Yeah. So this is my first attack. That's going to miss horribly.
Not spectacular.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Luckily I get 2.
Okay. Oh.
You'll need some different dice, maybe? 18's a hit.
Okay, so the first one misses.
The first one was
Grazes
just to
the thigh.
distract it.
Grazes the inner thigh.
Yeah.
But then I do a backswing like with tennis.
Boom.
And that bat is right on the testes of whatever this creature is. Or, I mean, I shouldn't presume it's male, but whatever the genitalia is present.
Yeah.
You're not sure.
Yeah.
There's things man wasn't meant to know.
So that's 5 damage. So it wasn't great. But
Yeah.
I'm now going to use
Oh.
The
one of my
Moxie.
Moxie points. Now, Moxie, for anyone who knows monks in Dungeons and Dragons, they get key points, which are like things they can burn off to do special attacks. Works similar with pugilists. So I'm going to use the old 1-2, which is immediately after you take the action attack on your turn.
Mhm.
You can spend 1 Moxie point, and I have 4 in total.
Yes.
You can spend 1 Moxie point to make 2 unarmed strikes as bonus actions.
Okay, go for it.
So he's getting 2 more punches in a second.
So you've sort of left the bat where it is, embedded, and just kind of
Yeah.
you stay there. Boom,
Yeah.
boom,
Back of the skull, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you can pick up the bat later.
Yeah. Let's say 13
Still
damage.
13. That's okay.
Right, that's 1 Moxie point burned, and that's my turn.
I'm going to have to refrain from referring to them as Moxley points the entire time. The good news is, Thornton, you're up again.
Alright. Because it's missing HP, I'm doing Toll the Dead.
Ooh, nice. You're going to try and remind it of its mortality.
Well, let's see, unless it reminds me of mine.
So, is it going to make a saving throw, Toll the Dead? It's either going to be Wisdom or Charisma. I'm going to be kind and say Charisma because that's something they're quite lacking in.
Let's call it a Charisma
We'll
saving.
double check it later on.
Yeah.
So he's got to make a saving throw against. How much is your spell save DC? It's quite high, isn't
16.
it? Yeah, he fails utterly miserably. Even if that had been Wisdom, then he'd have still failed. So that's going to be
2d12.
2d12. That's right. You both Prometheus and Boulder's Brawler just hear this eerie doom, like kind of church bell type thing,
Undertaker.
and the creature looks quite spooked, and then all of a sudden, it appears to be hurting from the inside, and you notice that Thornton's doing some sort of spell on it.
21.
Whee! There's an ear-piercing scream as this thing reaches 2 of its hands down to like its stomach and its chest, It's still standing, but it looks really rocked. And now it's going to attack you again because it's right in your face and you didn't move out of the way. That does hit you, but it's only going to be the once, and that's only going to be 5 slashing damage. And then it's going to whip round to the guy that's been punching it in the back of the head and try and, again, savage you with its claws.
I mean, really, it should try and pull the barbed wire off its smooth genitalia area, but I mean, if it wants to attack me...
It has different priorities to, you and I.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, the swing is pretty wild. What's your armour class?
16.
Yeah, it misses.
I make my pecs dance in front of it, just to mock it.
So, the bear is going to be able to make another attack. Are we still aiming for groinal region?
Well, I think I'll take the hint from the miss before, and he's got a good leap on him, Bear.
Yeah, decent. He's surprisingly sprightly for.
I have him up trees quite a lot.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a double nipple claw.
Bear has stood up, and he's not quite as tall as this creature. He's only a black bear, but he's done made himself look big, and then he's just come down, and he's just aiming straight for the creature's nipples. I'm not even going to think whether or not this creature actually has nipples, but it's going for the nipple area. That's nice. That's a hit. You'll need a D4 for this one.
So 9.
I mean, Bear was originally just going for the nipple cripple, but he got a bit carried away. The bloodlust, and so he's just torn these gashes through this thing's chest.
Amazing.
This thing is looking very wobbly on its feet, and Prometheus, you have a chance for a killing blow.
Let's see if I can take some fucking credit. Here we go.
plus 9?
So that is 12, which I believe is not a hit.
That is a miss. Unfortunately, your arrow goes wide.
You what, mate?
So, Boulder's Brawler, you've got another chance to steal the credit.
Yeah, let's just go for a try and punch through its head.
Excellent. Just for all the listeners, that's not one of us repeatedly farting.
Or if we are, we're timing it perfectly with the power.
Yeah.
That's 16, that hits.
That's a hit.
Okay. That's 8 damage for the first punch.
It's holding on by a mere thread,
Okay.
as is its jaw at this point.
And then I'm just going to do a nice straight hook from the other side, see if I can knock that jaw flying across.
Cool. Good luck.
Oh, that's a definite. It's
Yep.
25. In terms.
Yes, definitely. Just don't even bother rolling damage, in the words of Matt Mercer. How do you want to do this?
With that jaw that loose as he's on death's door,
Yeah.
my left hook comes in, it knocks the jaw flying out of its mouth, and it lands on Prometheus's face. just to mock him that little bit, that it was no effort at all. And I turn and I just wipe imaginary dandruff off my shoulder.
Ooh,
Wow.
I sense a rivalry.
Prometheus very, very quickly shrugs off this jaw, takes a little book out of my pocket, pencil out of the other one. There's some dates, and I just cross the first 2 off on the list.
This kind of hellish organ music is still playing in the background, with just occasionally boom, forehead, boom, slamming on the organ keys. So as these things sort of just crumple and start to just kind of melt away somewhat, you notice the corridor now goes in 2 ways. It goes down and to the left, and up and to the right. Now, right, as it goes up, there's dim light there, and you notice quite a few cobwebby strands just kind of hanging down that weren't there before. Down to the left, there's actually a bit more light, and it appears to be kind of like pinpricks of light just dotted throughout the corridor. They both seem to extend both directions a good 30 feet or so before going into what looks like total, possibly even magical darkness that even your sight can't penetrate, unless you've got the devil's sight.
No, I don't.
No.
I didn't choose that, slight thing. I have less than half my hit points. Now, hit dice, do I need a short rest for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Rests. You get long rests where it's
rest.
spend the night at the inn, sleep 8 hours, you get everything back, you're fresh to daisy. Short rests, you get a certain amount of healing dice that you can use. You don't tend to get stuff back. There's certain abilities you might get back, but
I get all my shit
it's
back.
it's basically a bit of a I want to get some HP back, you can chill out for an hour or so, basically.
I
Entirely up to you two. Up to you three, sorry.
I'm kind of
Entirely up to
thinking
you two.
save it for now, and then maybe after the next encounter I'll need a short rest. Because, yeah.
I've got a healing spell I don't mind using.
Cure wounds is 1d8 plus 3 in your case, because it'll be
Oh, hang on.
one of you rolls a d8 and then you'll add your wisdom to it.
I have Gift of the Ever Living Ones, which means max dice for HP.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. What, for any sort of healing spell
I think
that's
so.
on you?
I think it's for any HP roll.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that sounds good to me
Maybe
for
I'll
this
do that
particular
then.
one. So yeah. So that's just an automatic 11, I think,
Sweet.
because it's 1d8 plus.
And that's gone, right? Because I'm not going to have a long rest at any point in this campaign.
No,
I can't.
almost certainly not.
Okay, no problems.
So yeah, like spell slots wise, you've probably got kind of about 3 or 4 first levels and a couple of second level ones. How's it now? Yeah, so you've got 2 left.
Cool.
And then you've still got 3 level 2 slots for various things. So basically what's happened is, what was a maze, the tunnel has the part of the maze you were in, it's sort of changed and stretched, and now it's just a corridor going diagonally. You're now on slightly diagonal footing.
I'll tell you bloody what, why don't we send the bat up one way and the bear down the other, and we'll find out which way is best.
Sounds good to me.
Battersea snorts in appreciation.
Can I hear the snort?
Bear looks up at the cobweb side and bares its teeth, and then looks at me, and gives me sad eyes. So
Battersea,
if you want to choose which way you want to send your familiars or companions.
Battersea has dark vision, so he'll go up the darker corridor.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this one by one. Battersea slowly, asthmatically flies off up towards the dark. They look like thick strands of cobwebs. Some of them almost rope-like. They're not spun into any particular patterns. Some of them are just kind of floating. As Battersea gets closer, the nearest ones just start to kind of almost vibrate slightly. Bear, on the other hand, just slowly making its way down. He can see that the points of light are actually more mirrors on the walls, and as he passes the first one, he catches a glimpse of his own reflection. So, first off, Battersea. Can Battersea make a dexterity saving throw, as one of the bits of cobweb is actually starting to vibrate slowly towards him? I'm assuming his dexterity is not amazing.
Is this magic? He has advantage on magic.
This isn't magic. This is just something.
D20. Oh, nat 20.
Nice.
Fucking the charm of Battersea lives. So that's a 23, baby.
He's able to just suddenly just drop his speed and move back slightly
Balletically.
as this thing sort of moves back to where it was in its sort of static, floaty position.
I'd like to take the opportunity just to say that when Battersea did, very deftly evade, that I leaned over to the brawler to say that me and Battersea had a chat about his flying.
Oh, I see.
Before this.
Battersea doesn't fucking need you, man.
Yeah, well,
He's been in this game a long time.
He's too small and he doesn't know how to work.
Fuck's sake.
That's why he's developed as a high flyer, you see.
So anyway, back to Bear. He sees as he pokes his head around and sees his reflection in one of the mirrors. His reflection sort of winks at him and gives him a little bear claw, like finger gun. I'd like him to make a charisma saving throw. Now, because he's an awesome ranger companion, he's actually got advantage on this. So if you roll a d20 twice, and then you add 3 to the highest number that you get. 14, interesting. Bear almost feels like there's something just tapping on the recesses of his mind, almost like something is trying to get into him. And when he kind of shakes it off, his reflection sort of looks a little bit miffed and sort of just stomps off, like back into the recesses of the mirror. It's now just walked off. And yeah, there are more mirrors kind of dotting the corridor, but that's what you get for now.
Ooh, it's pretty spoopy.
Yeah, so it's not good either way, is what we're what we're hearing.
So there's some sort of...
How do you guys want to get fucked over?
There's some weird alien shit with the cobwebs,
Yeah,
and then there's some weird psychic shit with the mirrors. Does that kind of sum it up?
How are we doing for, I guess, what is it, intelligence and charisma that we're going to need for the mirror stuff?
Well, I'm dumb as shit,
Yeah.
and he's even dumber.
Yeah.
But Thornton's also charismatic as fuck.
I've got charisma.
Yeah.
I've got charisma.
I've got super charisma.
I got +2 charisma.
I'll just add to that some of the other mirrors, some of them looked a little bit different, just in terms of the gilding that was used or the shape that they were.
So perhaps the intelligence that we've received from Bear is incomplete, and that there are other challenges in the mirror world, or horrible alien spiders.
The brawler's a gambler, so I'd be quite happy to flip a coin on his sketch roll a die and just pick one.
Yeah,
do
sure.
that.
Odds is on my evens here.
Let's
Go
do
for
that.
So odds will go upwards to the cobwebs, and even we go down to the mirrors.
All right.
There's an odd. There's 3. There's cobwebs.
Are you doing the cobwebs? Right, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular marching order in mind? The corridor is pretty wide. It's like it expanded to about 15 feet in width.
I would like to go in the middle because I'm the weakest.
Hey, listen, Proteus is all up for making sacrifices that he thinks he's going to get congratulated for. The one thing I would say is that obviously I do most damage a little further back.
I'll go up front. That's fine.
Cool.
Maybe Bear could ride up front with you, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. So as you slowly start to walk upwards, a similar thing happens. Batsy has probably just quietly hidden himself under a bit of armour or a robe or whatever.
Well, that's not good.
And it's just kind of now breathing heavily in your ear as he normally does.
He's not the fearful type, so this is quite bad.
So as you approach the first lot of cobwebs, you and Bear are up front.
Yeah.
I'd like you both to make dexterity saving throws as all of a sudden these things start to vibrate and reach towards you. Bear again has advantage and he'll just add a +3 to whatever the result is.
I got a 7.
Oh dear.
14, alright, so we're looking at 70.
Bear seems fine. He just sort of backs off a little bit. One of the thicker cobwebs sort of brushes past you, and you almost feel a little judder of excitement from it. It's pleased to see something, and then all of a sudden there's a certain gouging pain in your shoulder as a decapitated clown head has just fallen and latched teeth first onto your shoulder. Those of you who aren't the Boulders Brawler can see it looks a little bit like that Dr. Thillylid bloke that was doing his clown act before this all went crazy. And that's going to be 5 piercing to you, Boulders Brawler, and this clown head is now kind of just stuck on your shoulder.
Can we, like in the old Batman 66 show, they did the sound effects across the screen. Zap or pow.
Oh, yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
imagine the biting noises? Doink.
Yes, absolutely.
Are you going to bring out your anti-clown head spray?
No real initiative or anything. This thing's just on you.
Okay. Can I do something about it then?
You can try and rip it off, I suppose. Or one of your companions could, try and extricate it.
Can I stab it?
Yeah, you can try.
Let's do a coordinated attack.
Okay.
Because I want to do the Roddy Piper fingers in the eyes.
Nice. I suppose, you're going to just be making an attack roll against this, try and get it in the eyes.
Yeah.
And then, if that works, then I suppose, you'll get advantage on trying to...
That's 19 total.
It doesn't really make a sound, probably because it's just got its jaws chomped on you.
Yeah.
But, its eyes just close and it starts shaking a little bit. If you did want to try and dagger it, try and prise it off, then you'll have advantage on this roll. And because it's a dagger, this can either be based on your strength or dexterity.
Oh, 20.
The eye poke is sort of it's released its grip a little bit, and you're just able to kind of rather carefully jam your blade in between his shoulder and the clown's head, and just sort of and when it's down, you can just...
Yeah.
And the clown head just sort of goes inert,
Nice.
and it just has this grin on its face. And even though it's not moving, its eyes are still following you.
That's fucking gross.
You head further in. At this point, like,
I make sure the bear's walking slightly ahead of me.
well, you notice that some of the tendrils and the webs, like, after that encounter, they've moved slightly further back. But then you get to a second part, like, just further up the corridor, you're still going up, where there's another mass of them. And as you're walking through, this is actually going to be Thornton and Prometheus, who have to make dexterity saving throws.
Oh, shit. 16.
Okay. So you'll add
13.
you'll add that to
saving
it.
throws. Oh, great.
Yeah.
16.
You're actually both fine. You both feel like coming towards the backs of your heads. You just have that kind of that someone is looking at me sense, and you manage to move your heads just as a very excited looking tendril just moves back, quivering away. And at this point, you get to a corner where the corridor flattens out again and splits off in about 5 directions. This place has obviously changed. There doesn't appear to be an obvious way out, so I'll ask for a set of investigation checks.
3.
I'm a 13.
13.
Oh, I rolled a natural 20, but I get a -1.
That's still very impressive.
My mum said I was smart.
Well, to be fair,
Actually, I don't know I was abandoned, but you know.
Couldn't have been that smart
In my
then, huh?
imagination, my mum said I was smart.
You're so sad.
You're a city boy. You've seen like dark, dingy corridors before. You know, under the various, taverns of Baldur's Gate, there have been lots of little spiderwebby networks of fight clubs where you've had to take a left and then a right and then straight on, etc. For you, it's actually fairly obvious. You can see that out of all of these, there's some very familiar kind of signs of ingress and egress, like certain scuff marks. I think you might have even noticed when you were going in, someone had actually done a bit of rude graffiti on your way in. You see that same bit of rude graffiti on one of those corridors, and so you think, although this has been rearranged, there is still a way out. Mm-hmm. There's a certain thread in the labyrinth for you now, which is good, because as you're walking along this corridor with the rude graffiti, it's up to you whether or not you have another chuckle at it as you go past. I mean, it was quite a witty dick joke,
Is there such a thing?
Where you've just been, the corridor starts to darken noticeably, even to the extent that people who normally have dark vision, you're unable to pierce it at all. Everything appears to be darkening rather rapidly behind you.
Can I do a perception to see if this is magical in origin or if it's...
This would be an Arcana check.
I'm going to do it, because I'm dumb.
Yeah, it's fair.
So I think I'm going to do great. 18, I did great.
You did actually do great.
Can I do a confidence check?
We actually spoke about her.
Oh my god! I kick him in the shin.
Right, no PvP just yet. So even though you're not, you don't have the book learning little wizards, although it's not kind of like the magic that you might know, this isn't so much of the cause of this darkness. It's being made by something, but it's not a spell. You don't think it's a creature either. You just think it's not necessarily a creature, more of a force of nature is the wrong word. Just a force.
Okay. I let them know what I'm thinking.
But yeah, 18 Arcana, you think probably bad. So, from the sublime to the ridiculous. As you guys are heading towards where you think the exit is likely to be, the darkness behind you, it appears to be growing slightly. Where you saw points of light, with the mirrors and stuff, they've just been put out. It's starting to catch up with you a bit. Suppose I'd like some athletics checks from everyone.
That's not very good. 7.
14.
22 in total.
Yeah, you all try and break into a run. Quick roll for Bear. Bear's actually doing fine. He's loped off ahead of you. Bastard! You've all kind of broken into a bit of a trot, and it's matching you pace for pace. And just for a brief second, the darkness catches up with you, and all of a sudden for just a brief moment, you're not in the corridor. you're in some unknowable, non-Euclidean dimension. All of a sudden, you're just on this like hideous plane of darkness. The geometry does not make sense. There are these like just huge, eldritch abominations traversing the landscape. And then all of a sudden you're back and you're still running. However, your mind has taken quite a hit. And that's going to be 10 points of psychic damage that you take.
At the Circus of Madness.
But that's just like encouraged you to run faster. And as you turn that last corner, you can actually see an exit back out into the fairground. And as you're fucking running for it, you see a figure, a humanoid figure in a full suit of plate armour with a helmet that entirely obscures his face, just goes, "Hurry, friends! Exit quickly! It's collapsing!" As the last of you exits, he kind of stands behind you, holds his hand up, and this huge blast of flame just comes out of his hand into the tent. You hear a type sound, just this huge, hideous roar, and just suddenly it goes quiet. So, taking stock of where you are, the first thing you notice is the fairground itself has changed somewhat since you last saw it. The sky is now sort of bruised purple, and where there were just open fields, there are now these huge, unclimbable iron walls. The varied attractions of the fairground have sort of changed. They're a bit more amorphous and tentacly now. The only thing that is still relative, in terms of what the fairground used to be, the big top is still there. It's changed a bit. It's now further away than it was before. It's about 100 feet away over this open, foggy ground that's now littered with detritus. And it's a bit more spidery and oppressive looking than before. But yeah, more importantly, the chap next to you, he's a medium-built figure in full plate armour with a helm that completely covers his face. He's wielding a large mace and a shield. The shield has an eye emblazoned on it inside an upturned left palm. It's a common enough god that you'd all recognise this guy as a follower of Helm. Now, Thornton, I remember in the previous campaign, you'd sort of like searched around for maybe a new direction to go.
Yeah, I was shopping around for gods.
Shopping around for gods, yeah. Helm and his followers are, in layman's terms, so boring and stuffy. Helm is god of like vigilance and order and justice and just no fucking fun whatsoever.
That is not Thornton. He likes to keep his options open.
And you've noticed that underneath the sigil of Helm on this guy's shield, he's essentially got "down with this sort of thing" emblazoned on his shield.
Steady now.
Yeah. But he introduces himself as Sir Harvey Humphrey, Watcher of Helm.
Okay.
And he's very glad that there is some semblance of normality here. I don't know what's going on myself, but it's most irregular.
Well, that's unhelpful. we twigged that it was irregular. Thanks.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Can I say?
I say that 4 are more powerful than 1. If you would be willing to accept my help, we may rid this circus of its irregularity and, may I add, silliness.
I turn to the guys and went, this guy looks like a loser.
I mean, I would say that yes.
You're hurt. May I offer you healing?
Yes.
Is that Prometheus, this guy's obviously a massive dweeb.
Takes one to know one.
But he does seem to have a lot to
chuckles.
offer, and I'm pretty sure I can hide his weaknesses and accentuate his strengths.
Because, yeah, you're a natural leader.
As you guys are doing this little huddle, he's like wandering around a bit, looking around for any sign of trouble, and just you notice him muttering to himself, just like, I've never understood this circus malarkey myself. What could be more fun than remaining vigilant, praying to Helm, and being on your best behaviour at all times?
Oh my god, you guys. Yeah, you can heal, but what the fuck?
Here, matey, why don't we try the healing first and see how it goes?
Of course!
Excellent.
This will make us a stronger unit. So who is actually hurt? I think all of you are hurt. How badly are you off, Jen?
I need... How much do I need? I need 16 to get up to full.
Okay, Boulder's Brawler.
I need
Mike.
20 to go back to full.
20, and Prometheus, sorry.
I need 22.
Wow, I did a nice bit of damage to you guys. He's going to do something lame. He's going to insist on a prayer of healing. That's where you all join hands together.
I try not to.
And he's going to... This is a healing spell that does that heals this amount, but it also takes a few minutes to actually work. So he's just, he's got his head bowed and he's muttering his prayers to Helm. Now, you're going to automatically take full healing from this because of your link to Battersea.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This one twice. You both get back 20 hit points.
That's great.
Oh, nice.
Whoever this guy is,
You're close.
he's obviously quite the cleric in terms of being able to heal people up. Thank you, friends. Helm will see us through this safely, as long as we all remain vigilant.
What was your name again?
Sir Harvey Humphrey, Watcher of Helm.
Lousy Triple H, you always trying to be centre of attention?
Suddenly you notice it's not a mace, it's actually a shovel. And, ironically, as he's talking about remaining vigilant, you all hear the creak of wheels that kind of... And from the foggy distance, you hear, hot dogs and candy floss, hot dogs and candy floss, as this huge, ogre-sized humanoid emerges from the fog.
Doesn't look so big to me.
And
Got size issues.
again, you recognise him as someone that you'd seen at the fair before, who was selling hot dogs and candy floss. This chap was originally Barfield the Butcher, who was a kind of rather large, gregarious vendor of delicious meats and sweets and sweetmeats, and is now a corpse-looking, bloated, horrible, rotting thing. He's still wheeling his cart. There's something off about the cart. You can't quite tell what yet. But he's looking in all of your directions and just smiling a big grin with rotted teeth.
I think it's going to be okay.
To be concluded next time in part 2.